I had always considered myself an active person, someone who embraced life with open arms. At 70, I was living a life filled with things I loved: gardening, volunteering at the local shelter, and hosting my weekly tea parties where I gathered with friends and family to share stories and laughter. My days were packed with activities that kept me moving, and I prided myself on staying busy. My mental sharpness was something I never worried about. It felt like a given. I was always the one who remembered birthdays, took care of everyone's needs, and kept track of the details that others forgot. But as I moved into my 70s, I started to notice small things that threw me off, tiny details I didn't think much about at first. At first, it was just a little thing here and there, forgetting the name of someone I had known for years or having trouble recalling a word mid-sentence. Then there were times when I'd walk into a room and forget why I was there. I would blame it on being distracted or simply having a lot on my plate. But slowly, those little moments of forgetfulness started happening more often. I didn't give it too much thought. After all, who doesn't forget things from time to time? However, things started to get worse. I'd find myself forgetting appointments or where I had put things that I had used just moments before. Once, I even had to scramble to find my glasses when they were right in front of me. I had a tendency to dismiss it all as just the natural progression of aging. It's just a part of getting older, I would tell myself. But deep down, I couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't quite right. The real wake-up call came one morning when I nearly missed an important doctor's appointment. I had been juggling so many things, and somewhere in the back of my mind, I had convinced myself that I didn't need to keep track of every little detail. I arrived at the doctor's office just in time, but the experience shook me to my core. For the first time, I truly realized how much my memory was affecting my daily life. I wasn't just forgetting trivial things anymore. It was becoming a real problem, one that could have serious consequences. Sitting in the waiting room, I found myself reflecting on how much I had let slip, and how the things I had once taken for granted were now slipping through the cracks. That's when I decided enough was enough. I refused to accept this as my new reality. I wasn't ready to resign myself to a life of declining memory or a duller, less engaged mind. I knew that I had the power to make changes, and that's exactly what I was going to do. I had always taken care of my physical health, but now it was time to focus on my mental well-being. I needed to take action, and I needed to do it now, before it was too late. I didn't know exactly where to start, but I was determined to find something that could help me regain the sharpness I once had. Little did I know, this decision would not only change my life, but also teach me that it's never too late to invest in your mental fitness and keep growing, no matter your age. After that eye-opening doctor's appointment, I began to seriously rethink my approach to mental health. I knew I needed to do something, but the question was, what? I didn't want to just accept that my mind was slipping away. I wanted to take control, to regain that sense of sharpness I had always prided myself on. That's when I stumbled upon a small but powerful idea: brain games. It was a simple concept, but the more I looked into it, the more I realized just how beneficial it could be for me. My first step was a trip to the local thrift store where I found a crossword puzzle book. I remember picking it up with a mix of curiosity and skepticism. Could something as simple as solving puzzles really make a difference? I figured it couldn't hurt to try. When I sat down to do my first puzzle, it was much harder than I expected. I struggled with clues I would have easily answered years ago, and I found myself frustrated. But rather than giving up, I took a deep breath and decided to stick with it. Slowly, I started to improve. What amazed me was how much more focused I felt as I worked through the puzzles, how my brain seemed to wake up and engage in a way it hadn't in a long time. That sense of accomplishment when I finished a crossword puzzle became addictive. It wasn't just about completing the task, it was about the process. I began to realize that these small mental challenges were strengthening my mind in a way I hadn't anticipated. But I didn't stop there. I wanted to keep pushing myself, keep growing, and see just how far I could go. I started incorporating more brain-boosting activities into my routine. I picked up a Sudoku book, which was another great way to challenge myself. Sudoku made me think in a completely different way, forcing me to solve problems and exercise my memory and logic. At first, it was a struggle, but soon I was able to solve puzzles with ease, and my confidence began to grow. I was feeling sharper, more alert, and more mentally present in my everyday life. But it wasn't just about puzzles. I realized that learning new things was also incredibly important for keeping my mind active. I had always enjoyed art, so I signed up for a local painting class. The process of learning something completely new was invigorating. I had to focus on the details, shapes, colors, techniques, which kept my mind engaged in a completely different way. It was a creative outlet that I hadn't tapped into in years, and it felt so rewarding to see my progress. I didn't stop there either. I wanted to push myself even further. So I enrolled in an online photography course, something I'd always been curious about but never had the time to explore. Learning about digital photography and new techniques kept my brain on its toes. I was constantly absorbing new information and applying it, and I loved the sense of accomplishment that came with each new skill I gained. In addition to these activities, I joined a weekly book club. Reading new books and engaging in discussions with others kept my mind sharp and introduced me to new ideas. The conversations in the club were intellectually stimulating, and I found myself more engaged in the world around me. I began to realize that keeping the mind sharp wasn't just about doing puzzles or learning new skills. It was also about staying connected to others and fostering relationships that helped stimulate my brain. What struck me the most was how all these activities worked together to create a more vibrant, engaged version of myself. I wasn't just improving my memory, I was becoming more creative, more curious, and more connected to the world. My mental health was improving, and I felt more alive than I had in years. By the end of my first few months of this new routine, I could already feel a difference. I was more focused, I had better recall, and I found that I was more engaged in my daily life. I knew then that I was on the right path, and that the journey of improving my brain health had only just begun. It was a wake-up call, yes, but it was also an opportunity to embrace lifelong learning and growth in a way I had never considered before. And let me tell you, it's been one of the most rewarding decisions of my life. As my memory began to improve and my mental sharpness returned, I realized I had a passion for what I was doing. Not only had these brain games and learning experiences transformed my life, but I wanted to share what I had learned with others. It wasn't just about improving myself, it was about helping others to thrive as well. So I took the next step. I began volunteering at a local senior center. I figured if these activities worked for me, they could work for others too. At the Senior Center, I started leading memory workshops for fellow seniors. It wasn't about offering complex strategies or quick fixes. It was about making brain health accessible and enjoyable. I introduced them to puzzles, memory exercises, and other fun activities that could help improve mental acuity. Watching my friends and fellow seniors engage with the activities was incredibly rewarding. Some of them had never considered the idea that games and learning could keep their minds sharp, but when they started seeing the results, their enthusiasm grew. I emphasized that brain health wasn't just for the young and tech-savvy. It was something that everyone could embrace, no matter their age. One of the most rewarding parts of this experience was seeing the joy and sense of accomplishment on their faces as they tackled a difficult puzzle or tried something new. It was more than just a cognitive exercise. It was about giving them confidence and showing them that it was never too late to challenge their minds. But I also realized that social interaction was just as important for mental fitness as the exercises themselves. Staying socially active was key to keeping my brain sharp. I continued my weekly tea parties, inviting my neighbors and friends over for lively conversations and laughter. We'd chat about everything: books we were reading, movies we'd seen, and life in general. These simple moments of connection kept me feeling engaged and emotionally nourished. As I spent more time with others, I saw that staying socially active wasn't just fun. It was a powerful tool for mental health. Socializing with friends and making new connections gave me an extra boost, reminding me that learning and growing didn't have to be a solitary experience. As the years went on, I felt more mentally agile than ever. The brain games and new activities had given me more than just better memory. They had filled me with a renewed sense of purpose. And it wasn't just about the activities themselves, it was the mindset shift I had undergone. I began to embrace the idea of lifelong learning and to approach every new challenge with enthusiasm and curiosity. I no longer felt like I was losing my mental faculties to age. Instead, I felt like I was gaining strength and agility, both in my mind and in my spirit. Now, at 75, I'm not just a woman with a sharper memory, I'm a woman with a richer life. I've come to understand that the best way to grow older is not by slowing down, but by staying curious, engaged, and open to new experiences. My journey has shown me that our brains are capable of growth at any age. The key is to keep learning, keep playing, and keep challenging ourselves. Ending message: I hope my story serves as a reminder that it's never too late to invest in your brain health. Whether it's solving puzzles, learning a new skill, or staying connected with others, there are so many ways to keep your mind sharp. As I often say to my fellow seniors, it's never too late to start. Keep learning, keep growing, and enjoy the journey. The most important thing is to never stop challenging yourself, because the rewards are far beyond what you could ever imagine. The more you engage, the more you'll thrive. And that, I believe, is the key to not just aging gracefully, but living a life full of purpose and joy. If this video provided you any value, please like it and share your story in the comments. If you like to hear more stories and advices like this, subscribe to Healthy Elders.